I tested OpenClaw and Hermes from a beginner's point of view. The goal was simple: run the same real workflows, keep the setup budget-friendly, and see which agent gives more useful results with minimal reasoning. What is Hermes? Hermes is an AI assistant system built around memory, skills, messaging channels, scheduled tasks, and goal-based workflows. For a beginner creator, the appeal is the way it can support repeatable work over time. Cloud Code fits deep coding sessions while I'm sitting at the computer. OpenClaw and Hermes sit closer to AI employee workflows. Quick research, planning, chat-based tasks, messaging channels, and lightweight automation. Why Hermes feels stronger than OpenClaw? The reason Hermes caught my attention is the full assistant workflow around it. Memory helps it keep user preferences. Skills turn repeated work into playbooks. So shapes communication style. Cron handles scheduled work. Feedback turns mistakes into better rules for future runs. Memory, Hermes feels more like a personal assistant because it can keep long-term context. It remembers who I am, what project I'm working on, the format I prefer, the tone I usually use, and the workflow I'm trying to build. For beginners, that matters a lot. You don't have to explain everything from the beginning every time you start a new task. So I would show Hermes as a daily assistant rather than a tool that only executes tasks. OpenClaw is still strong when you need task execution, especially for direct project work. Hermes feels more focused on remembering the user and making the output more personalized over time. Skills work like recipes or playbooks. When you repeat the same type of task many times, Hermes can turn that workflow into a reusable skill. That means the next time you need the same output, it can follow the same structure, tone, and process more consistently. After a good use case result, ask Hermes to save the workflow as a skill. This shows the self-improving workflow in a beginner-friendly way. Soul is what shapes Hermes' personality, tone, and overall vibe. It helps the agent respond in the style I actually want: friendly, clear, slightly fun, and less robotic. Compared to OpenClaw, Hermes makes this idea easier to understand because the personality layer feels more visible and intentional. Cron turns Hermes from a reactive assistant into a proactive assistant. A normal chatbot waits for you to ask something, but Hermes can run tasks on a schedule. I would start simple: a weekly content plan, a daily research brief, or a nightly backup. Self-improving loop. The self-improving loop is probably the most important mindset when using Hermes. It doesn't magically get better if you just chat with it once and leave everything there. But when you give feedback, save useful memory, patch a skill, or update the soul, Hermes has a better foundation for the next task. Over time, the assistant becomes more aligned with how you think, how you work, and how you want the output to feel. Final comparison. Hermes feels stronger than OpenClaw because it has a system for becoming your own assistant over time. Memory helps it understand who you are and what you're working on. Skills help it repeat your workflows more consistently. Soul helps it respond in the tone and style you want. Cron helps it run tasks without waiting for you to ask. And the self-improving loop helps Hermes get better every time you give feedback or update the setup. Goal command. Hermes also supports the goal command for multi-step objectives. A goal gives Hermes a clear outcome and lets it continue through the task until the objective is complete, paused, cleared, or stopped by its limit. A good goal needs a clear task, a definition of success, constraints, and a final report. I would use goal for research to summary workflows, repo audits, or multi-step planning. For a single answer, a normal prompt is enough. For this recording, I am using Agent 37. That keeps the setup beginner-friendly because I can create a Hermes instance, choose a model, and open the web UI without installing everything locally. The setup flow is simple on Agent 37. I create a Hermes instance, choose a model, and wait until it shows as running. Connect to Telegram. Hermes can connect to Telegram. The official Hermes team already has a setup walkthrough, so I will leave that guide in the description. Daily automation workflow. This is Hermes running on Agent 37. Here, I asked it to create tasks for me. The first task is, every morning give me an update daily AI news and a fitness plan for the day at 7:30. The second task is, every evening give me a night check-in to follow up with me. With the information, I want Hermes to use my answers to adjust tomorrow's check-in. After it made the script, I asked Hermes to schedule these tasks. And as you can see here on this tab, we already have the tasks scheduled for the next day. This is me testing if the tasks work. With just a simple example, we can see Hermes turn a simple daily routine into a smart automation loop. It can remember context, run recurring tasks, follow up proactively, and adapt its next actions based on real user feedback. Access Chat UI. From the Hermes instance page, I click Web UI. This is where I run the actual chat tests. I keep the same low-budget setup from OpenClaw, minimal reasoning, and no unnecessary browsing. Onboarding. Before the test, I give Hermes a short creator profile. I tell it that I am a beginner learning AI agents, that I make YouTube and TikTok videos about AI tools, and that I prefer concise, structured, practical outputs. Hermes summarizes the context correctly. It understands the content should be beginner-friendly, practical, and screen recording ready. It also suggests 10 workflow ideas for future AI tool videos. The comparison test. This test asks Hermes and OpenClaw to create a reusable customer feedback analyzer skill. The prompt includes 10 messy feedback items and asks for categories, repeated pain points, urgency, business impact, a reusable template, and a final recommendation. OpenClaw performs well here. It creates feedback pulse analyzer with categories, scoring rules, a reusable output template, and a test analysis. The top issues are sensible, checkout, onboarding, and shipping trust. Hermes also creates a complete reusable skill. Its scoring framework is a little cleaner because business impact uses a 1 to 5 scale. It also catches the return policy issue and ends with a clear fix sequence. Checkout first, onboarding next, shipping clarity after that. For the feedback analyzer, Hermes wins. Yes, OpenClaw creates a strong skill, but Hermes gives a cleaner scoring structure with a better final sequence. CLI versus Telegram? The CLI feels like a cockpit, while Telegram feels like a remote control. They can both connect to the same agent, but they fit different working styles. I would use the CLI for deeper work, especially coding, debugging, and project setup. Telegram is better for quick tasks, simple research, planning, reminders, and scheduled automations. Security. Treat the agent like an intern. Don't give it full access from the beginning. Start with only the tools, API keys, and permissions it actually needs for that specific job. This keeps the workflow safer and easier to control. Backup. If you plan to use Hermes long-term, I would also back up your memory skills and config into a private GitHub repo. That way, if your VPS breaks, your agent crashes, or something gets misconfigured, you don't lose everything. You can rebuild the setup from your repo. Maintenance tips. Hermes is not magic by default. You need to actively shape it as you use it. If it gives the wrong answer twice, correct it and ask Hermes to update the memory or patch the skill. If the tone feels off, update the soul. If you keep repeating the same task, turn that workflow into a skill or schedule it with Cron. That's how Hermes becomes more useful over time. Final takeaway. OpenClaw is very capable when the prompt is detailed, especially for structured research. Hermes feels a bit easier to control for beginner workflows because it gives cleaner output, follows stop conditions more often, and fits the assistant-style workflow around onboarding, memory, and reusable skills. If you find this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe to AI Fire. Thank you and see you again on our next video.